Good morning and welcome back to Jack's Tech Corner. This is Photography Weekly, episode number 37 for December 18th, 2011. Coming up in today's show, we're going to introduce you to the USB connection that comes with the camera kit for the iPad. So we're going to introduce you to the USB connector part. Last time we looked at I believe it was the SD card connector. Now we're going to look at the USB connector. We're also going to talk and find out how do you transfer photos from your iPhone. And I know not everybody has an iPhone, but I've been taking pictures with the iPhone. I thought I'd really like to be able to transfer those very easily over to the iPad. So we're going to talk about that today also. Next, I want to show you a very, very nice, low-cost photo editor on the iPad that also works on the iPhone. So we're going to cover a lot of different topics here, covering between the iPad and the iPhone. I know we looked at Photoshop Express before, I think it was, or a small Photoshop for the iPad, but it wasn't great because it didn't let us open up all pictures, and that kind of bothered me, so I found a new photo editor to introduce to you guys. So like I said, even if it don't relate right now, remember, Santa Claus is coming to town. He may be giving you a new iPad, and you'll be ready to go with these great tips today. Skype is going to be open for your questions, and let's get started here with Photography Weekly, episode number 37. Okay, so there we go. We're back in. We got the opener out of the way. Let me throw this back over to the chat room. Like I said, we'll do the official shout outs here for everybody in the chat room. And we will get talking about these topics that I wanted to cover with you today. First, I can say that I was at my daughter's chorus concert. And I don't know if your kids, maybe your kids are in different events, but if you go to a chorus concert, or if you go to a gymnasium with your kids in a school, I believe somewhere deep in my heart that they purposely put lighting in that says these are going to mess with every photographer that ever comes into this event or this arena. And so I'm sitting there and I pull up my camera. I pull up my trusty D7000 camera and I'm ready to shoot. The first thing I did, I just wanted to throw this out there to you, is I looked down and it's normally always in the manual mode. And I thought, Jack, these are precious pictures. I can't ask them to do this chorus concert again tomorrow. Maybe I should put on program mode. Well, then I thought, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to go ahead and leave it on manual mode. Now, what I did was I looked down and I thought, Jack, you've taught enough of this stuff to the viewers. I taught this stuff in my live class here recently. You should at this time be able to look at your ISO settings. You should be able to look at your shutter speed, and you should be able to look at your aperture setting. And you should be able to judge just by looking around the room of how much light you have, what those settings should ballpark at. So I looked at mine, I looked down, and I said, well, we could start with an aperture open as wide as it can go. So on this particular lens, it's 3.5. Next, I looked at my shutter speed, and I thought, well, I'm going to take that shutter speed to 1/25th of a second because that's what I like to shoot at. I just like that shutter speed. It's just one I use a lot. The ISO setting was at 800. I pull up, I snapped a picture, and I looked at the back, and I thought, wow, that was a little bit overexposed. Just a little bit overexposed. So at that point, I looked at my camera and I wanted to change a setting. Which setting would I have changed? We can throw that in the chat room. You guys can start thinking about that. And I'll go ahead and start doing my shout outs this morning. So which setting did I change to make the exposure not as overexposed? I want to lower the exposure down a little bit. There's your question for this morning. Okay, we have a few people in the chat room this morning hanging out here with us. We have our regulars. Good morning, Kevin. You were in there nice and early. Brian, good morning to you. Cheryl. Hugh, good morning, Hugh. We have Jessica is in there. Jake the Snake, welcome back. And Vicky, as always, welcome to the show. Now, Kevin R., did you change your exposure settings maybe? Get a little bit more specific with how did I change the exposure settings? What exposure? What setting did I change? There's three that I'm looking at. ISO settings. Did I change the shutter speed, or did I change the aperture setting? What would have been the one that I would have chose or what would you have chosen to change to make that picture not as overexposed? I also have a little trick for you here. Jessica, I usually just give up in the gym and make the kids stand outside in their uniforms. Hey, Jessica, I don't know. You have the Nikon camera. Hold on one second here. Jessica, don't give up. Here's what I did. I used to give up too. I'd put my camera back in the bag and say, heck with it, because the pictures were blurry. They didn't turn out right in the gymnasium. I went out and bought this little guy here. It's a 50 millimeter 1.8 f-stop. So it's very fast. It's very small, and it's fixed. It's a fixed lens, but I paid maybe $120 for this lens, and this thing has been a blessing. Even if you want to do portraits, you can pull this out and use this little lens. Like I said, for your camera, it could be a little bit more money because your camera has the motor in the lens, but it's still worthwhile to take a look at it and see if you can't pick one of these up. Once again, it's a 50 millimeter fixed, so you can't zoom. Okay, with this lens, I tell people, they say, well, my wife will say, I'll put this on a camera for her when she's shooting in an auditorium or something. She'll say, well, how do I zoom it? I said, well, you have to do it the old way. She said, the old way? I said, yeah, you move your feet. You walk in and you walk out. So that's what this is for. Since then, I did buy the 70 by 200 f2.8 millimeter lens. A lot more money I laid out for that, but this is a great lens. 50 millimeter fixed. They sell these for Nikon and Canon, guys. So you can definitely go out and pick one of these things up. Very, very inexpensive. And what's going to happen, it's very fast. So you can use faster shutter speeds, and it's an f1.8. So you don't need much light inside of that opening to get a really beautiful picture. So there you go, Jessica. Don't give up. Don't give up. Purchase another lens. If you're not getting a new camera for Christmas, put this on your wish list. New 50 millimeter lens. Just trying to get this chat window up. Going back up. Okay, really, that's a double-edged sword, that question I had for you folks out there. Brian and Kevin, you're both right. Kevin, you can use the shutter speed. We can take the shutter speed, we can increase it. So it's a faster shutter speed. It leaves a less amount of light in. You have that option. Brian, you're also absolutely correct in aperture. So the aperture mode, we would turn the number up a little bit, and what it does, it closes the availability of the light. It puts like a shade inside that lens. It brings it down, so that way it lets less light in, the same way as the faster shutter speed. So you're both right. Congratulations. Perfect. That's great. We've been learning a lot together, and that you guys just proved it there this morning. So what we want to talk about today, the first thing here, and like I said, I know this does not relate to everyone, but more and more people are getting tablets nowadays and the iPad. This is the iPad 1, or the first edition iPad. And what I wanted to show you with this thing was, you can hook your iPhone, which I started doing this yesterday because of the editor I found. You can hook your iPhone directly to the iPad and transfer pictures. So, because I originally started looking for the app for that, and there was an app for like $3. Now this is where you have to think a little bit, because if you have the camera kit from my previous shows and you purchase one of these for $30, then you're good to go. If not, you might want to purchase one of the apps for $3 and do it wireless. You could do it that way. Okay. So this one, and let's change cameras here for a minute. This one here is the one we used last time. It has the SD slot in it. You remember I took the camera card out of my camera and slid it into here and transferred pictures directly over to the iPad. Today we're using this one. It's a USB slot. Same connector. And these come together. This is a kit. For the $29 you get both of these. So this is how the kit comes. I have not found any other one. There may be aftermarket ones now that you can buy third party, play a lot cheaper, but these came from the Apple Store. All right. Now, with that said, so all we have to do with this thing, excuse me, is we would plug it into our port on the bottom of the iPad. Just like so. Now we have that. Now that's ready to go. All we need now is our cable. Is the cable here. And you can transfer it with the cable right over to the iPad. So there's the cable. Here's the iPhone. Plug your cable in. And then let's us bring up a all right. Let me bring up a desktop shot. Okay, so we wanted to bring up a shot there of the screen. That's the screen of the iPad. We're now plugging in the iPhone via USB. It will automatically pick up it's automatically going to pick up the pictures on my iPhone. Okay, you can slide through here just like you would any other time. We're actually looking here to see what's in here. You can slide through here. Let's grab a couple pictures here from our trip we took. Once you select the pictures, you just simply click on import. And what's going to happen here is you can either import all or we're going to import selected. We're just going to import selected. And just that fast, we actually have it imported. This says, do you want to delete the pictures or leave them on? We're going to keep them. So we kept those pictures, and we actually have them now on the iPad. So if we go into Photos, you go all the way down to the bottom. Or no, sorry, go back up to the top here. You may actually have to reread it to see the pictures. I'll go back out here. And let's see here. And here they are right here at the top. So those are the two pictures I actually transferred in. That one and this one. Those I just transferred into the iPad. Okay, so it's a very, very simplistic way to get your pictures in. Now, I'm going to turn back here. Let me get off my desktop now. And we're going to turn back to the camera over here. Take a peek at the chat room because I've seen somebody in there ask about something that I want to address. And I think it's very important to address this. And let's take a look here if I can find it again. Jake the Snake, doesn't the pictures automatically transfer from your devices over the cloud? Double-edged sword. To use the cloud, you have to make sure you updated your iPhone and your iPad to the proper iOS. I believe it's iOS 5 is where the iCloud came from. So if you have an iPad and you do not have it updated, or maybe you didn't want to for some reason or another, you would not be able to use the iCloud at that point. My iPad is actually not. It's not upgraded, and the reason that is because I jailbroke it. And that could be a whole nother show and a whole different topic. Jailbreaking is legal now. But that's how I was able to show the screen of my iPad using a computer software called VNC to make a connection to the iPad to bring it up on my screen, so I can then basically televise that out to you folks so you can see my screen. So if that's the case, then I have to cable it. I have to hardwire. I don't really have another choice, so I don't use the iCloud on that. So that covers the iCloud. That's why, I thought that somebody would come up with that, and I'm glad you did. So that's really, really great. So, Jessica Jack, this takes the pic straight from the camera to the iPod. My daughter doesn't have a computer. She just has the pad, so that's a great way to get the pics from the camera to the iPad. You're talking about the way I showed you the wiring or the iCloud, Jessica? I'm kind of lost you right there. I'm just trying to read through these. Jake the Snake, you missed the point on that. Sorry about that. The point is to be able to transfer them from, and you're going to see why, because you can edit on your iPhone. But would you rather edit on a screen this big or this big? You know, I would rather edit on a bigger screen. So that's the point of it, to be able to pull those in and do some editing on them, and then be able to post them somewhere like Facebook or Flickr. And it's really nice when you're on vacation, because the world is changing. We don't need these anymore. This big, heavy, bulky laptop, you don't need that anymore. If you have an iPad and an iPhone, or even the smartphones now, you're good to go. I mean, you don't need to carry around a big, heavy laptop anymore. So that would be the point. Okay, so that's great. So we now know that everybody's under the same idea of why we want to transfer these pictures. In the end of the day, the reason we want to transfer these pictures is so that we can edit the pictures on the iPad. Now people are going to say, Jack, this is well, it was a Photoshop Elements type of lesson or daily class. But we shied away from that. That's when we went to Photography Weekly, and that's why I want to show you all facets of photography. Because I was talking to a professional photographer. I don't consider myself a professional. I guess I consider myself a well-trained photographer. But to me, a professional is somebody that does it every day, that makes a living from it. That's more of a professional, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I have it wrong. I don't mean to offend anybody, because everybody watches this show is great photographers. Don't get me wrong. But I asked him, I said, in your opinion, in your 30 years of photography, what's the best camera that you can get? He said, well, he always said the best camera is the one that you have when it's time to take the picture. Most of us have this more times than not. We have our phones. It becomes a great camera source. Excuse me, also a great video source. So there you have it. Okay, so with that said, our next part of this is going to be the editing on the iPad. I'm going to show you how that program works. First, we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump into our brief intermission. I got to get that within the show here, and I'll be right back, so stick around. Also, check out this sponsor, Green Screen Wizard, written by Ken. Ken is an amazing programmer. What else can you say? He's written algorithms to make green screening a piece of cake. If you ever tried green screening and removing the green, you always get that green cast and everything in Photoshop or Photoshop Elements. Well, Green Screen Wizard takes care of that. Ken took the time. He also is an amazing background shooter. In talking to Ken on the phone for about an hour, a couple different times, Ken is a great person. He travels the world and he shoots backgrounds for you. So, no longer do you have to buy all those expensive backgrounds. Just buy a kit from Ken, set the green screen up, take a picture, and then drop in any background you want. Once again, that's Green Screen Wizard for all your green screening needs. With that said, go to my website, jackstechcorner.com, and look for the sponsors links on the left. You want to click on the graphics, and that will take you to the sponsors links. When you use my website to get to them, that helps the show out, and I truly appreciate it, as well as then the sponsors know that you are coming from Jack's Tech Corner Show. And if you want to help even more, you can pick up a DVD. It will not only help the show, it helps you. You can learn Photoshop elements. There's many tips and tricks in there that you're going to learn with. You don't have to worry about the internet speed then. All the videos are burnt onto the DVD. Or like many of you already did, you can also donate to the show. All donations of any size are greatly appreciated, and they help to buy new equipment as well as the software I need to continue to do these videos for you. So, thank you very much, and let's go ahead and get back to Jack's Tech Corner and more learning. Okay, everybody there, we're back for more learning here at Jack's Tech Corner. So, trying to look, there's nothing new in the chat room here, so I guess we're going to move on and move up. If anybody has any questions on that segment, though, you can give us a call. Definitely can give us a call here this morning. Let's see if I have this on here. There's the number right there on your screen, 724-701-0911. You can call it with your cell phone. It should be a free call for you. I would check to make sure with your carrier. Or you can Skype. You can also Skype here at you can Skype me at Jack's Tech Corner is the Skype name. We know that's free, so you can load up Skype on your computer, and that's absolutely free. So there you have it. So with that said, we are going to go into hey, thanks, Hugh. Hugh pointed out the cup. My wife is big on this. Every year she gets out the winter holiday cups, and we must use those for coffee. So actually she puts the other ones away. I don't know, women are amazing, very amazing. I always say that because everything's always organized around, so you got the holiday cups out. So thanks, Hugh. I'm glad you noticed the cup there. Okay. So what we're going to look at today, and I am going to get my iPad back up on the screen here so we can bring this back up on the desktop. Let's take a look here. Let's try and get that set in there. I would not actually buy the 16 gig iPad because we as photographers, if you want to transfer your pictures, like I said, with the SD card, with this little guy here from your camera, those pictures are relatively huge. So if you want to transfer those, I would suggest to at least have a 32 gig, because maybe you have a 4 gig SD card, maybe. I mean, I know I have one 32 gig and one 16. They're pretty cheap anymore also, but if you're doing a wedding or something, you want to do a backup, it's nice to take that SD card and I can throw it on the iPad. But with only 16 gigs, I'm kind of limited. So my next one would be at least a 32 gig. I mean, if you can afford it, buy the 64. Because the other problem with the iPad that I found that the other tablets don't have the limitation, Apple in all their wisdom, and this happened years ago, what they decided to do was not to put an SD card slot in the iPad, which would be fantastic, right? Because then you can add memory whenever you felt like adding memory. I have a Nook. I put a 32 gig card in a Nook because there's a place in the back to pop a card in. But they want you to buy the bigger versions. That's all. That's the way. That's the way Apple does things. That's what they want you to do. So I don't know if they'll ever come out with one with a SD card in where you can pop more memory in. But Who knows? I hope they do, but we don't really know if that's going to happen or not. So with that said, we are going to show you now. Yeah, see if I can uncheck that. Oh, that works. We are going to actually show you now the photo app that I found. So as you notice here, I don't know on your iPad if you use folders or not, but the folders keeps everything more organized. I have a folder called photography. And I have two in here I want to show you. The one I'm going to apologize already because it cannot turn horizontal such as the way your screen is showing right now. It has to be a portrait mode. But I'm going to show it to you because I think it's worthwhile to show you. First, we're going to look at this one called Filter Storm. And I've already contacted this gentleman to see if I can get an interview with him, to maybe bring an interview to the show, so we can actually meet him and ask him some questions. So Filter Storm is a really nice editor for the iPad. Now, when I found this program yesterday, I thought, because I was looking for something to do on the show, and I thought I wanted to bring something new, portable-wise, that we can use as an editor when we're on the road. So we're going to go ahead and load up a picture. All we have to do is click on the little camera. You can load it from your photo image, you can paste an image, or you can close an image. We're going to open one from the photo library. Last imported, these are those pictures I just pulled off my iPhone. So that's what I said. That's why I wanted to get it over to the iPad so I can edit. Let's say I'm on vacation. The chances of me going in without a laptop is really slim, but it's getting more and more marginal where people are not taking their laptop. I've had administrators at our school that says, Jack, we don't carry a laptop anymore. We take the iPad when they travel. And they can do their email, they can do their notes, they can go to a conference, they can take pictures with it if they need to, they can take a video, they can record anything they need to do, they can do with that. So that's where it's becoming more and more usable. And I think tablets are going to be even more and more usable in a couple years. The bad thing about that, I'll just give you some background on it when I open this picture. The bad thing about this, Bill Gates tried that. Bill Gates, Microsoft tried that 10 years ago. He said tablets are going to be the future. Why does it take Steve Jobs to come on stage and say, this is a tablet? Oh, everybody wants it. It's crazy. But Bill Gates, nobody wanted it. Now, maybe 10 years ago, people was like, well, what the heck do I want that? First thing you may want to do with your picture is to resize a little bit. Just squeeze it a little bit. Just do the little pinch thing, how we do. We do the little pinch thing, where you pinch the screen, such as this. I was going to try to move the camera onto the iPad, but it's a little difficult. I'd rather just show you the interface and not. I think you'll get the idea. Okay. All right. So the first thing you can do here with this program is you can crop. You can do some scaling to fit. You can rotate and flip, straighten it. And you can put borders on it. And I thought, well, most programs will do that. That's nothing amazing. The next thing is we can use filters. Now, when we go to filters, what you're going to start noticing, these filters are a lot like the filters in Photoshop Elements. That's where I thought this program just screamed out and said, Jack, you need to demonstrate me and show me to the viewers so you guys can maybe download this and try it yourself. Now, the program is not free. I think it's $3.49. It's not the pro version for 19 something. I don't even know what it does. It's the basic version. It does enough for what I want it to do. Okay. So what I wanted to do is I want to do basic edits and be able to upload this somewhere from my iPad, which then I don't need to have my laptop with me. And you can upload directly from your iPhone, right, guys? People do that, or from your smartphone. I'm sure you know that. But here's the problem with that is you may not like the picture. It might need to be edited a little bit. Something might need to be done. So you can do auto exposure at the top, brighten and contrast, curves, which is neat. Curves to elements came out later. It wasn't until version maybe 6 that we started seeing curves. But you can actually move this thing around with your finger, and you can do curves. You can brighten it, just like you do in Photoshop. You can reset it if you don't like it. It'll put it back to 0. Okay. When you're done, there's 2 different areas. You can either at the top right, on the right hand side or at the top, there's an X. If you don't want to confirm it, hit the X. If you do want to confirm it, hit the check mark at the bottom of the screen on the right. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to confirm it. So next is, and just keep putting the questions in the chat room here. I'm trying to stay more focused now. I can see it in the corner of my eye here. And we'll go back and we'll answer those questions here in just a couple minutes. Let me get through these ones, and before we go into the layers, well, we'll look at the chat room for your questions. So go ahead and keep posting them there. You have hue and saturation, and all you do is work the sliders on the left-hand side of the screen. So if we want to raise the saturation, just come up. You can see it, the picture is getting more saturated. Or you can come down. It's getting less saturated. You go all the way down, which makes it basically black and white, right? We take the saturation out of it. And there is some questions I have about this program that I would like to talk to the developer for, so I want to get him onto a interview. And that is basically being able to do stuff like we do black and white art, I call it, where I can highlight maybe the stuff in the back, you know, the green stuff back here, the trees and that I can actually make everything else black and white but leave that color. So I'd like to talk to the developer about that. We can do white balance, sharpening, blurring. When you do the blurring, what's interesting is, I thought, see here. If you look at the picture, it's half blurred on the left and it's not blurred on the right. They're showing you the difference before and after. You can change that just by clicking on that little button there. It's the, I don't even know if I can get a mouse over there. Maybe. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. Let's see if you can see it there. Yeah, maybe you can. So right there, that's where you want to click on, that little thing there. And it makes it either left or right or the whole thing. You can work on the whole thing at one time. Okay, we do have black and white. You can see here you can remove the reds, the greens, the blues. So we do have a black and white. You have a cloning, which you can do some basic clone stamping. That's what that's for. So I thought that was pretty neat. And it looks like some of that stuff, that's not good. It's not good to demonstrate something and it crashed on us. But that happens. Alright. Let me open that picture back up. So that was on the clone stamp there. Alright. Let's get back into here. Tone mapping. We have text, which then you can add some text to your picture. You can move it around wherever you want it. You tap in the text box, which is right here. Right there it is. So I tap in that text box. My keypad comes up. Delete it. Type in here something like that. Family. Hide the keyboard. You can change the font color right here. So we could do everything you would expect to be able to do. You can center it. You can move it around still. We'll put it over there. You can raise the text size a little bit maybe. There we go. Then confirm at the bottom. Hit the little check box. And that will lock that text in. So there's the text. You can do noise reduction or add noise if you wish. You could add some noise to it. There's a red eye brush, which is important when you're shooting with small cameras because of the small flash. And you can adjust some coloring there on the bottom. So there is some basic edits. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a second here. I'm going to check the chat room because you guys are filling it up. There are some questions. I want to cover those. And then I'll show you how the actual layers works in this, because I also thought that was interesting. Let's go ahead and bring over here. Okay, so now let's catch up on some of the questions in here. All right. Jack, does your iPad have Wi-Fi built in? Yes, it does, Jake the Snake. It does have Wi-Fi. I think all iPads have Wi-Fi built in. The question is does it have the 3G wireless built in, or 3G cell phone network? And I didn't want one of those because I don't want to pay monthly for that service. I don't think I need that on the road. What's layers? We all use layers in Photoshop Elements, and we love it. So I thought when I found this program and there's layers, I thought this has to be a $90 program. Well, let's click on it and see what layers is all about. Actually, let's see here. We're going to delete that layer. Okay. Now, so this is our base picture, just like you have in Photoshop Elements. We have our base picture. Now we want to work with layers. The reason we want to work with layers is the main thing is because layers allows us to work on the picture without destroying the underlying main picture or the base picture. Some people like to call it the locked background or whatever you want to call it. And we can play with variations of it without destroying that first picture. So working with list layers, all we have to do here is we're going to click on Add at the top, little plus button. It's going to process and add a layer. So there we go. We have a new layer on there. Now, to work with that layer, all we have to do is click on the image, put your finger on there, and leave it go. And now you have your exposures and stuff that we had on the beginning on the front page. They did add a couple different ones that were not on that front page. Vignette, the posterize, or holy cow, anyway, and the double exposure. So we are going to go with the vignette. Now I found this to be very, very easy to use and very nice to work with. And it allowed me to quickly do something to the picture and then actually upload that to Flickr. So we can do a radius, something like that. You can do a fall off, which is right there. You see where it's falling off. It's really, really handy. I mean, for $4 program, and brightness, so you can brighten that part of it in the back here. Once you're done, just hit the checkbox on the bottom and that'll finish it off. Now we also have the possibility here to edit a mask. Right, a mask? I thought a mask was only with Photoshop Elements 8 or 9 or Photoshop. A mask? So here's the mask. Just click on it. Then you have your tools over here on the left that you would want to use. Your paintbrush, your eraser, and some other few tools that you can use with it. We're just going to go back. Okay, so let's say at this point, for the sake of time, that our picture is done. Also, if you don't want to use this mask here, you can click this little button right here. I'll try to get my mouse on it so you can see it right there. If you click that, you can see that we can duplicate the layer, merge it down so you can flatten it, delete the layer. It even has opacity. And I thought that's pretty cool in the program too. Opacity. See, we can actually change the opacity. It has some blending modes: normal, multiply, screen, and overlay. Again, folks, I can't say enough about this program when I found it. You know, for $4, It's a great little program. It works wonderful. I mean, it did crash a couple times, but I'm sure the programmer will be working through that. He seems like a very nice gentleman there, looking at his website anyway. So once we're done, we want to take this and we want to hit this and we want to send it somewhere. You can add a ton of places. If you click on the add button here, you give it a new destination and you choose the destination where you want it to go. Hit done. No, we're not going to add any there. We're going to just, I already set up Flickr, so we're going to add it to Flickr and hit export. It will come up on your screen and show you a progress meter. And it's going to export it out to Flickr. And yes, it will also do Facebook. So if you'd like to progress and send these to Facebook, you can do that also. So there you go. It's just nice to be able to do it all in one application. I know you can upload to Flickr from another application. I'm sure of it. But it's nice to do it from one application. There's a lot of thought in the program. And there you go. And at that point, the program actually closes itself. I don't know why he wrote that in that way. Because I'd like to go back and maybe edit another picture. But he did. And I don't really understand why that is. Okay. So there you have it. There you have the program. And the program FilterStorm. It's a nice program that you can use on your iPad. Just catch up on some of these chat questions here. Let's see here. That's why they call it a branch. Oh, gotcha. Isn't it a little late for breakfast? Yes, Jessica, a little late for breakfast, but then again, not for, brunch. It's not too late for brunch. I actually had a bagel when I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning, but that's just me. I get ink on my hand or something. Okay. Okay, Kevin, your daughter's going to want that. That's great. Jessica, start drinking already. Is it FilterStorm or FilterStorm Pro? The one that I showed this morning is FilterStorm. I don't know what FilterStorm Pro has. I know if you look at the gentleman's website, he will tell you and show you. But you know, if the base program is going to do what you want it to do, then by all means just use the base program. And I think you'll be just fine with it. All right. Screwbacker keeps getting more and more each week. It's a good thing I got an extra boom laying around, huh? Just in case I need it. Just checking out these last couple of chat things here. Yes, Jessica, it is the $4 one. It's like $3.99, so $4. Okay, Kevin, hit me there. And Andy's getting ready to have his supper, as we call it here in the States, or evening meal. 1600 GMT. Wow, I haven't done GMT since I was in the military. I know it's Greenwich Mean Time, but I'm not sure what time that is, 1600. Would that be 4 p.m.? Is that right? Am I right? I'm not sure. Well, anyway, who knows? Who knows, as long as everything works out okay for us. Okay, guys. Well, as always, you know, this is the sad time of the Sunday morning here that I got to close the show out and say goodbye to all of you folks. And Andy, I was on 4 o'clock. I was on money. I haven't done military time in a lot of years, but you know, once it's in the old noggin, it kind of stays there. So, guys, I tell you, it's been great. Like I said, I am working on a new show here. We're going to be doing the new show is going to actually be covering tech because Brian. I discussed it with Brian, and he said it'd be nice to have one. and I have a name for it. It's going to be coming up very, very soon. So, but we're going to have to get out of here myself. Like I said, brunch is about ready. And Jessica says about to get to work here, and you have to read some procedures and do some calls. Well, good day then. I'm sure everybody will have a good day. If you haven't gotten your holiday shopping done yet, get to the stores and get some purchasing, and get that taken care of. Okay, well, Kevin, I hope you'll be watching for sure, and I'll be posting it there on our. It'll be on the webpage. It's also going to be on. I'll send a message out over Twitter. So if you're not following me on Twitter, follow me on there. It's Technoman. Follow me on Twitter. Also, if you're not following me, guys, and I don't know if on Justin TV, if you're not following me on there, click the follow button and give me a follow there too. So we'll be good to go. Let's see. Is there a show next week with it being Christmas Day? Woo, that is a good question. Wow. The question, here's the real question, guys and girls out there. If we did a show on Christmas Day, would you show up? Would you show up in the morning to watch it? That's a thought. I don't know. I've always wanted to do a show on Christmas Day just about new Christmas gifts, where you can come in and show them, see what you got, and we could talk about it. Take the day off. I like Brian's idea. Not if he wants to stay married. My wife is almost behind you guys, the viewers, for this show, honestly, as much as she's behind me. So, and Austin said the day off. And Jessica, that might be a good idea. Let's try that. Let's see what we can come up with, maybe with a Google Hangout for next Sunday. So yeah, next Sunday, if that falls, if that is Christmas Day, I have a lot to do. We have a lot of family coming in. And that's a big day for us too. So we'll see, but it might be the day that the show will not broadcast. So we'll see. So check in or check your Twitter, because I'll put a Twitter message out if it happens. So, okay, guys, well, have a wonderful day today and a wonderful week. And watch for the new show coming out. I'm not sure what day it's going to be. I have a couple ideas, and I'll be talking to you then. So take care, and I will talk to everybody later. Thanks, and let me close the show out before I go. I'll keep you guys posted on Google Plus and on the Facebook page to know when that show is coming up. I'm going to close out here just so I have this for YouTube. Thanks once again for each and everybody out there for watching this show and coming to me each and every Sunday and joining together, getting together as a group here of photographers and talking about photography and editing and iPads and the fun of photography. That's what this show's all about. I'm very honored and humbled that you come to visit me and that you allow me to come into your living rooms, your computer rooms across the world and talk photography. So it's a good feeling to be able to share that with you and to have you share your thoughts with me. If we can make it here next Sunday, maybe we will, but there's a good possibility, thanks for bringing it up, that next Sunday is Christmas. And it's a good possibility that we will not be broadcasting next Sunday. And we'll work something out maybe through the week. Or we're going to do a Google Hangout. So join Google Plus today. Remember, join Google Plus today. Thanks again, everybody. I am going now to eat brunch, believe it or not. And I'll see you back here next time on Photography Weekly with Jack here at Jack's Tech Corner. So long and have a happy holiday. Merry Christmas. And I'll be definitely talk to you, I would hope, before New Year's. I think we can figure that out. I'll see you. And watch for YouTube videos, too. I'll be posting some of them. We'll definitely get some more of those out. Thanks, guys, and take care.